Hi, you are catching me on a new journey of making YouTube videos. I tried to make a couple earlier this year, and talk about perfectionism and all of these limiting beliefs coming out. I'm just going to make videos, and if you want to watch them, great. If you want to interact with me, that would be amazing. I'd love to see your comments, but we're gonna explore doing my YouTube videos in this new format. This just feels a lot more comfortable for me. And so I'm a little nervous. Oh, I don't know what to talk about. I mean, I do. There's so many things I want to talk about, but of course, once I get in front of the camera, my mind goes blank and I start overthinking and overjudging myself. And am I wasting your guys' time by thinking? Something for me to work through on that. Okay, well, I have my little bullet point things I want to talk about. So I ended up doing a video earlier this year, really talking about the number of relationships that we're in. And I'm going to leave those videos up because they're super awkward. And if you want to watch me be awkward and not, I didn't feel like they really reflected me, like who I am. But I was trying so hard, you guys. I really wanted it to be perfect for you. I was really keeping you in mind because yes, there is the aspect of I wanted to make sure that it met my quality, like my standard for how things looked. I, come from working at design agencies. I come from working in corporate. I'm just a fan of beautiful aesthetics and like the details. And so it was so frustrating to not be able to create that for my videos. And I could have the vision, but there's these limitations of not, it's one thing to just show up in front of the camera and talk. And that is just a hurdle that I had to get over myself. Like I become a little bit more comfortable talking in front of the camera since I've been posting a little bit more videos on other social platforms. But there was that hurdle. And then there's the hurdle of understanding the equipment and understanding the workflow and all of that stuff. And it really tripped me up. I wanted to share so many things, and yet I just found myself overly exhausted. And so here we are now. What I want to do is I want to share more with you guys. And this one's probably going to ramble on a little bit because it's getting used to being in front of the camera, getting used to this setup. This is obviously a very new setup for me. And I'm going to not care so much about keeping everything so prim and proper. I'm going to post this video, and if you want to watch the entire video, great. If no one wants to see it, that's also fine too, but it's going to be so good for me to at least practice and get more comfortable. So, on to what I really wanted to talk about. So, let me reintroduce myself, and I say that in a way of if you've seen my other videos, you may know who I am, or if you have seen any of my other, content on other social platforms, you may know who I am, but I'm assuming you know nothing about me, and that's great. So I'm Elizabeth Aldana, and I call myself a breakup artist. And the reason I call myself a breakup artist is because I am such a believer in relationships existing everywhere, which is what we're going to talk about in this video. And also that breakups are not a bad thing. Breakups are this beautiful portal to becoming. And usually we associate breakups with grief and all of this bad stuff, when in reality, it's not the breakup that is bad. It is our attachment to what was, our attachment to what could have been, right? That's what causes all the discomfort. So that's a little bit about me. I'm sure in other videos I'll, share a little bit more, but I've rambled on enough. What I want to talk about is relationships and the fact that we are in so many relationships. So relationships exist everywhere. You may think relationships are only like romantic relationships, but relationships are really with all people, places, and patterns. So you can have a relationship with obviously a romantic partner, but you have a relationship with a friend, with a family member, with a coworker. You have a relationship with places, a relationship with your home, a relationship with your car, with the gym, or, whatever the park, like just locations, right? And then you also have relationships with patterns. And this is a big one. This is what I really love to dive into, is patterns like limiting beliefs. So this, I was talking about like having a relationship with being in front of the camera, right? And the insecurity. And it could be like I've had issues with, or not issues, but struggles with people pleasing and proving my worth. And so those are patterns. And what I like to do is I like to help people recognize what relationships they're in, right? It could be a relationship with your phone. You tend to doom scroll every night before going to bed, and you go to sleep later than you wanted to, and you wake up completely exhausted. So yeah, helping people recognize the relationships they have with everything around them, because there is this energetic exchange that is happening, and you're either gaining energy through the relationship or you're losing energy through the relationship. And so once you recognize the relationship that exists in your life, and you can do an audit of, is this actually enhancing my life, or is it detracting from my goals, from my vitality, from, feeling like I'm energized in the day? If you feel like it's detracting, then you have an opportunity to break up with it. And breakup doesn't necessarily have to mean like sever. So say if you find that you have a friend that is actually draining your energy, doesn't mean you have to cut them out of your life. That may be the thing you need to do eventually if things don't change. But a breakup is just change. A breakup is changing something that is in the moment. So maybe your friend that you find toxic is just constantly speaks over you. And so you feel drained from that relationship because you don't get a chance to express yourself like you would like to. And it just leaves you kind of feeling tense. And so a breakup could be allowing the interaction you guys have to continue as is. So you would break up with just taking it. And instead you would try a new approach in the relationship. And it would be like, maybe kindly asking them like, hey, I wasn't done talking, or I'd like to get in a word, right? So yeah, there's so much I can talk about in terms of relationships and breakups. It really is something I love discussing, and I love helping people through this type of stuff. So let me look at my notes real quick to see. We talked about relationships are more than romantic partners. We talked that they're with people, places, and patterns. And I believe I gave you some examples of what that would look like. We talked about doing an audit. So what would be a really great exercise for you is to just write down 20 relationships. There's so much more that you would have in your life, but let's just start there. Let's just get a piece of paper, number 1 through 20, and start to write down what you think are relationships in your life. And again, it can be friends that you hang out with constantly, right? The people you surround yourself with. So let's start with that. The people you surround yourself with. Is it a partner? Is it a good friend? Is it a coworker? So name those people. And then I also want you to consider where you spend most of your time. Do you spend a lot of time at home? Do you spend a lot of time at work? Maybe it's the, public transportation or in your car. And then the next thing would be is limiting beliefs, or patterns just in general, which could be limiting beliefs. But it could also be, I spend a lot of time with my phone, or I spend a lot of time with the TV, or I spend a lot of time reading a book, right? And with that, you will list the relationships, and then once you have them, then you'll go through and you'll say, does this energize me or does this drain me? And if it drains you, then you'll maybe let's put a little X next to it and be like, okay, so it's visually there. You have your list of the relationships that are in your life, just 20 to start with. And then you have a clear indicator if it's something that energizes you or something that drains you. So you can put an X if it drains you, and something else if it energizes you, maybe a little heart or star. And then from there, you'll look at the ones that drain you, and then just start to look like, okay, well, what about this relationship drains me? And what is something I can do to alter the way the relationship exists right now? And so that's just a really, really great exercise, and a great start to get familiar with, or get familiar, also raise your awareness around the relationships you have in your life and which ones are draining you. Let me see. I should tell you. Okay. So let me give you an example of one of the biggest big relationship, but also one of the biggest breakups that I went through. So it was back in 2016. I was living in LA. I had a partner, a long-term serious partner, because we were living together. And I was working at an agency, and the project I was working on finished. And not sure if it's still the case now, but the way that they would work is if your project ended, and they would see what other offices had projects that needed support. And so I wasn't expecting this, but my manager came over and, was like, let's go sit on the couch and let's talk. And asked if I would be interested in going to Singapore. I was not expecting that. And I only had like 24 hours to decide, and I would have to leave within the week. And I, embarrassingly enough, did not know where Singapore was. And that really was the sense of like, I probably should go. So I broke up with my life as I knew it. I said goodbye to my home. I said goodbye to my routine. I said goodbye to my friends, and I said goodbye to my partner. We obviously, or not obviously, but we stayed together and did long distance. And that's a whole different story that I'll talk about at another time, because that really talk about breaking up with limiting beliefs. That was a whole thing. And so anyway, I ended up going to Singapore, and I didn't realize it was a breakup at the time. It was just this sense of, okay, well, this is this thing I'm doing. But once I got there, in hindsight, I realized it gave me the space to reevaluate my entire life. I was fortunate enough to have a lot of things taken care of, meaning I knew I had a job, I had housing for the time I was going to be there, and then they spoke English as a first language, so basic needs, survival, safety taken care of, and that meant I really got to look at my life as a whole. And I had the time, the space to ask myself, because I wasn't busying myself with my partner or my general routine or my friends, how do I want to spend my day? What is it that I want to do? Who do I want to be? And so that was just like, there's so many details that I'll get into eventually in other videos, but that was a huge, huge breakup for me, right? An entire experience where things changed. Breakups are just change. And change is not good or bad. It's the sense of what you want to do with it, and being intentional about making sure the change is going to work in your favor, making sure you're clear about what it is you want in life, so that way you can leverage the change, the initiated change, to do something that supports you. So there's a lot there. This is going to be like the first video. I'm going to post this because it's just because I want to share this, and I'm okay with the messiness. I want you to be okay with messiness in your life, so I will put myself out there and let you judge me as you want to, but I'm having fun over here. Okay, so let me go through my other list. So I shared my personal story. I gave you the example, like doom scrolling could be maybe a breakup that you can practice with. So if you find yourself on your phone more than you want to, I would say take a look at that and figure out how you can change that relationship. It could be, not looking at your phone an hour before bed, or not looking at it an hour before you wake up. These aren't new concepts, right? You've heard this. But yeah, just find something that is going to work for you. So your homework, your assignment is, write down on a sheet of paper 1 through 20, just number 1 through 20, then list out all the relationships that come to mind. So where the people you spend your time around the most, the locations you spend the most time at, and then the maybe habits, activities, or themes, patterns that show up in your life. Once you have that list, you'll go through it, you'll evaluate, does this energize me, support me, or does this drain me? Does this detract me from my goals? And then if it energizes you, supports you, you'll put like a star, a heart, whatever your favorite little icon or doodle is. And then if it drains you, just put an X or cross it out. And this way, these are the relationships you're going to focus on, and you're going to start to break up with whatever currently exists, and you're going to explore new ways to interact in that relationship. Or you could decide, hey, this actually does not serve me at all. I'm not even going to experiment with changing it in a subtle way. What I want to do is I completely want to sever from it. That is your choice. Anything else? Oh, If this resonates with you, if you like what I'm talking about and you're wanting some other materials, I do have some free resources. So I'll include the links in the description. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, this is going to be fun. I feel like I rambled on a little bit, but we're here, we're experimenting, and we'll see where we go tomorrow or sometime soon this week. Okay, take care. Mwah. Bye.